If you're wondering whether you should focus on high repetitions and light weights, you're in the right place. I'm Jacob Pfau. I'm the owner of Primal Barbell, a strength gym in Chicago, Illinois. And today we're going to answer the question of should you focus on high reps with light weights in the gym. Now, the muscle cell is kind of a long rod-like structure. And if you were able to see the inside of it, you would see that there are myofibrils, and around that there's something called sarcoplasm. So the myofibrils are the contractile units. They actually deliver the strength and the force and the power, while the sarcoplasm is basically the fluid around the myofibrils. Most people asking the question, should I do high reps? They either are trying to avoid injury as they get older, or they're trying to get hypertrophy, which means making your muscle as full and as toned as possible. And they're trying to get to hypertrophy by way of high reps. But my opinion is you shouldn't start your training journey with high reps. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can get hypertrophy of this muscle. We can get myofibrillar hypertrophy, which means we increase the size and amount of myofibrils, and eventually they're gonna start pushing on the outer walls, and this is gonna grow. Another way that we can get hypertrophy is by increasing the size of the sarcoplasm, even if the contractile units sort of stay mostly how they originally are. I don't think you can ever fully get one or the other, regardless of what rep range you're in. It's going to be some combination, but sarcoplasmic hypertrophy would be a greater growth in the sarcoplasm area. Myofibrillar hypertrophy would be a greater growth in the number and size of contractile units here. To make this really simple, if you went all the way light and high reps, you had a lot of volume and time under tension, you might achieve a greater fluid size around your contractile units, but you might not have very much strength increase and function increase in your body. Whereas if you pursued myofibrillar hypertrophy, as the muscle grows, it's also growing in function, strength, and power. And if you're over 40 years old, I would make the strong argument that it's imperative that you utilize your time wisely and get as strong as you possibly can. In the process of getting as strong as possible, you're eventually going to push on these outer walls and get a bigger, better looking muscle. But if from day one you only ever focus on sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, you're not setting yourself up to be injury resistant, functional, or more athletic. And I think that's a problem. Because if you want to feel young, if you want to perform well, if you want to run faster, jump higher, then you need to be able to have quick contractions. You want to be able to have a lot of contractile units that can quickly develop that strength and power to allow you to do those things. If you want to have good balance, good mobility, strong muscles that can stretch, then the myofibrillar hypertrophy is what you want. And if you follow a strength program and you dedicate 3 to 6 months to getting as strong as you can, your muscle is eventually going to grow. Can you imagine someone who can bench press 400 pounds and compare him with someone that can only bench 100 pounds? Can you imagine a case where they're the exact same size, where they both look like stick figures? No, it's not going to happen. For most of us average folk, you're probably going to end up with a better looking muscle if you dedicate your first few months to a strength building program, because of the fact that you have so many gains and so much progression. But if on the flip side you're only concerned about what rep range you're in and staying light, that's going to be a recipe for minimal growth over time, minimal progression, and the tortoise over here is going to pass you up, even though he's maybe getting hypertrophy at a slower rate. If you're not a bodybuilder and you dedicate 3 to 6 months to getting as strong as possible, and you utilize your nutrition for any fat loss or weight loss that's needed, most people are going to be very happy with the result. Now, if after you've dedicated that time, you still feel like there's muscles that you want to bring out and add tone to, then at that point, you can focus on lighter weights and higher reps to build out your body the way that you want it to look. But even within lighter weights and higher reps, it's still going to be important to progress your lifts and get better over time. Because in that way, your overall volume will go up, and volume is a good way to add to your hypertrophy. Maybe it's because I'm a former football player and athlete, but I like to have function in addition to form. And I don't think it's worthwhile to pursue form without function. And if you're over 40, it's time to get as strong as possible and to increase all these units of contraction and to make them bigger in size, because that's going to be crucial for longevity and quality of life. Now, if you need the fast track towards getting strong with a barbell, visit my website, primalbarbell.com. And until next time, stay primal.